A special fund is it's a collective investment scheme. It's where different investors give a fund manager their money to invest on their behalf. Is this an MMF? We are going to be discussing in this video. In today's episode, we are going to be discussing, or I'm going to be sharing with you about Mansa X Fund. It's a special fund. It's licensed by CMA. Before we get into that, please kindly press the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that whenever I upload another video, YouTube will notify you, right? Awesome. Like I've told you, Mansa X is a special fund. It's a collective investment scheme that is run by Standard Investment Bank. So in today's episode, we are going to be discussing about Mansa X Fund. And while discussing Mansa X Fund, we are going to be reviewing its past performance. We are going to be discussing or reviewing its expected performance. Expected, not guaranteed, expected performance. We are going to be reviewing what is required of you or what you need to invest in Mansa X Fund. We are going to discuss the advantages of investing in Mansa X, and we're also going to cover the disadvantages, if any. So what is Mansa X Fund? Mansa X Fund is a product of Standard Investment Bank. Mansa X Fund is a special fund. It's a collective investment scheme. You give Standard Investment Bank your money, and then Standard Investment Bank will invest this money in different investment vehicles. Now, these investment vehicles are things like shares, and the shares are not just shares in Kenya, in NSE. They will invest in Hong Kong, they'll invest in New York, they invest both in Kenya and outside Kenya, right? Now, they also invest in treasury bonds, both locally and out of the country. They invest in foreign exchange. They carry out foreign exchange. They trade in foreign exchange. They will invest in commodities. They will invest in derivatives and any investment opportunity that there is, even property, by the way, any investment opportunity that there is, they invest in. So what does that mean? What is the risk level of this fund? I told you they invest in bonds. They invest in fixed deposit also, because of course the fund has to remain liquid. Whenever you want your money, the fund should be able to pay you. So some monies should be liquid, should be held in a liquid account. They invest in foreign exchange. You know, foreign exchange is high risk. They invest in commodities. They invest in stocks. Those are high risk. So what is the risk level of this special fund? Is it a low risk investment? Judging from the underlying assets, is it a low risk investment, or is it a high risk or a moderate risk? Now, because it has a mix of low risk and high risk, it is considered a moderate risk investment opportunity. And I had told you the relationship between risk and return. So because the risk is higher than the risk of MMF, it is expected to pay more than your ordinary money market fund, which is also a collective investment scheme, by the way. So Mansa X Fund is a moderate risk MMF. It's not an MMF. It's a moderate risk MMF. It's a moderate risk collective investment scheme. And don't come after me saying that I said Mansa X is an MMF. No, it's not an MMF. I'm just giving you an illustration, right? So what do you need to start investing in Mansa X Fund? You need 250,000 shillings. You also need, in case you need to top up, you need to top up in bits of 100,000 shillings. And are there any charges or any hidden charges? SIB will charge you 5% management fee on your investments. And they recommend that you lock in your investments for 6 months, right? I'm not sure as yet whether there's a charge to premature withdrawal or you forfeit all your income. I don't know yet. I'll get to clarify that with SIB, and I'll come back to you and do a follow-up video to this video giving better clarity. But for you to join, you need to have 250,000 shillings. Your top-up needs to be with 100,000 shillings, and you are charged 5% financial services charge, which is like a management fee. Now, there's redemption fee is 0. If you're withdrawing, you're not charged anything. The initial fee is also 0. All right. Now, there's a charge that SIB levies on this that is interesting to me, that I find it quite interesting, or that has piqued my interest. Yeah, they have 10% performance charge applied on the surplus when a return above the 25% hurdle rate is attained. A hurdle rate is a minimum rate. So by this charge, SIB is communicating to us, to you, the investor, that they are targeting to give you a minimum of 25% return on investment. Can you imagine? Now, in a scenario where rates are coming down, we are seeing the tertiary bill rate at 10%, coming at 11%, 10%. The tertiary bonds rate are coming down. What do you think about Mansa X funds? SIB is promising. They are not guaranteeing. They can hit 18%, they can give 17%, but their objective is to give you a return on investment of 25%. And they're saying, if we hit that 25%, then anything above that, over and above the 5%, we are also going to recover 10%. Will you be having any challenge with that? As an investor, of course not. Why? Because then I know that the fund manager is doing all that it can to give me a return on investment of at least 25%. If it fails to do that, well and good, it's understandable. I already know as an investor that Mansa X fund is invested in high-risk investments, which will mean that they're likely to make some losses in certain investments and make gains in other investments. So then how will I know as an investor, how would you know that your money is going to be safe, or SIB is going to deliver what it's promising you? How would you know that you stand a good chance of earning this 25% from Mansa X5? You look at the management. Who is managing Mansa X5? Who is the guy behind this Mansa X5? Where does Mansa invest your money? Let's have a look at their latest fact sheet, yeah? Now, according to the latest fact sheet, the top of their investment was fixed income instrument, which more often than not are low risk instrument. So they hold 14.46% in that investment line. Then they have 8% in interest rate derivatives. They have 5.3% in NASDAQ 100. They had gold features. They had General Dynamics Corporation. They had Broadcom. They have cash and cash equivalents being the list of 2%. And this mostly because the returns on the cash and cash equivalents is the lowest, given that it's a low risk. Yeah? So we can see that Mansa X5 is holding a diversified portfolio. It has the high risk, and it's that high risk that now is offering us, that is going to offer, that we expect to earn higher returns from it. What has the performance been like? In 2019, Mansa X gave a gross return of 24%. 2020, they had a gross return of 23.7%. 2021 and 2022, I think they took COVID hits, and they had gross returns of 24% and 20.59%, 20.59% 2022. Last year, they gave a return on investment of 23%. These are annualized gross return. The net return on investment was 18% last year. So we are keen to see what the annualized return is going to be like this year. I'll do another review of this fund, once they have published their 2024 performance, right? Now, what are the disadvantages? What are the advantages first of investing in Mansa X? Number one, they offer, or they promise, not guarantee, they promise to offer higher returns. They have given themselves a target of 25%. Is it attainable? Yes, it is attainable. Is it guaranteed? No, it is not guaranteed. But judging by their past performance and judging by how they have priced their product, the 10% that they charge in the return above the 25% is giving me confidence as an investor that Mansa X5 has our best interest at heart. Now, I've told you about the high returns. Another advantage that we see with this is that they have managed their risk by investing in different commodities. I mean, in different investment areas, right? They invest in low risk and high risk. Now, the high risk is offering us high returns. The low risk is offering us capital preservation. Offers low returns and also offers us capital preservation. So that then is a good way of mitigating risk while giving us, the investors, higher returns on our investment. At a time when rates are coming down, you need to diversify your investment portfolio. Mansa X5 is a good fund for capital growth. Capital growth, right? Because of the high returns and because of the high risk, quote unquote, elements. Now, Mansa X5 invests both in the country and outside the country. So there's a mitigation of political risk. In the unlikely event that Kenya was to default, would you lose your money in Mansa X? Not all of it. A portion of it that has been invested in the Kenyan, in the government securities will be at risk or could be at risk, but because primarily it's invested across the borders, your money is going to be safe. So there's a protection on, there's a risk, there's a mitigation on political risk. Are there any disadvantages or any risk associated with Mansa X? Certainly, yes. Now, I told you, you give Mansa your money and then they invest it on your behalf in different investment areas, on different investment vehicles. Now, wherever these funds are invested, carries with them a risk. They trade in Forex. So it carries with it Forex rate risk, Forex risk. They invest in commodities. They invest across the borders. So it carries with it liquidity risk, interest rate risk, political risk, and other risks that I had discussed in the video that I did on risk. So you need to have a look at that video for you to have a better understanding of the risk that your money will be exposed to. So now that we already know where Mansa invest our monies, and now that you already know, you already have a good understanding of the risk involved. When is it ideal for you to invest in Mansa? Is Mansa X an ideal investment for you? Do not invest in Mansa if you are saving for your emergencies. It's not ideal. You need the MMF or your bank, commercial bank. If you're investing, if you're saving up for school fees, depending on when you want to use that school fees, if it's within the next 6 months, Mansa is not for you. Go back to MMF and your bank. Mansa is ideal for people whose risk appetite is higher than the MMF and is higher than the bonds. Mansa is ideal for people who are looking for wealth growth. Mansa is ideal for someone who can be patient with their investment. You give them your money and then you sit back. They say you lock it in for 6 months, but my advice is let it stay even for 1 year. Why? Because high-risk investments requires a longer duration of time of investment for you to maximize your return on investment. If you invest now and the share prices were to drop, 1 week or 2 weeks later and you need to take your money, there's a high chance that you're going to make a loss. However, if you invest now and you wait, the prices drop 1 month later, but you're keen on your investment, you wait longer, but you're patient with the investment rather, and you wait longer. It's possible, highly possible, that you, whatever capital losses you made, the book losses you made on your shares, you are going to recover them when the share prices take the next direction or start coming up. Even with forex exchange, today the dollar is at 25, the next day at 126, 127. So it's important for you to have an understanding that Mansa X, in as much as they suggest that you lock it in for 6 months, I highly advise or recommend that when you decide to go into this special fund, you have a longer duration. Let it stay in longer than the 6 months. Give it 1 year, give it 2 years, give it even 3 years, and see how your money is going to grow. Of course, within the shorter duration of time, you might see just minimal returns of your investment. But as your money compounds with them, as they invest and they reinvest, it's better than the MMFs. If you want to see your wealth growing, try the special funds, especially in this low interest rate regime. What do you think about Mansa X funds? Have you invested in Mansa X? Is this something that you'll want to consider? Now, in the next video, I'm going to be reviewing the OC Special Fund, OC Fund, which is by Daima Investment Bank. I haven't done it because there's information that I needed to get from them and I haven't gotten as yet. But once I get that information that will make the video complete, once I get that confirmation with them that will make the video complete, I am going to complete on working on the video and share it out with you guys. Let's meet on the next video.